this is Esther with Discover Your Origins. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to write a life sketch for your ancestor. I have some examples of some life sketches that are now being computer generated or AI generated on Family Search and Ancestry. So let me go to a Family Search page here. And Family Search has been updating their person pages and their about pages. And they are now computer generating life sketches for individuals. And they're very fact-based, and they're generated based on the information on the Family Search page that's on the details. So if you look, it's going to pull information from the birth and the location, the death and the location, and then it will also kind of come down and look at the events, and it will look at the parents' names and dates, and also the number of children born, both in the parents and in Amanda's marriage to her husband. So Ancestry does something very similar on their life story page. Their life sketch is even shorter than the one generated by Family Search, but they also include maps and a short pedigree, and they kind of spread it out. It's not all in one paragraph. So I like to write a life sketch for my ancestors as I come across them. It helps me kind of form what I know about the person, and also kind of helps point out some places where research could be done. And so I like to do it, even though Family Search and Ancestry are now auto-generating these. Here are some guidelines that I've included on my article. A life sketch is just basic facts, so you don't want to be providing commentary at any length, and it should be something that you can read in just a few minutes. A life sketch should just include basic facts like full name, date of birth and location, parents' names and ages, birth order, marriage, locations you lived after marriage, number of children born to that individual, death and burial. And usually I like to write it in chronological order. And I kind of compared that with the life sketch. This is the auto-generated one from Family Search. But I like to include some additional facts about a person. So details about the birth location, occupations, relevant historical events that may have impacted the family, because there's a lot of things that have happened in the world during the times that you're looking at. You don't necessarily want to include those unless they had direct impact on the family. And you want to connect dates and events if they're interesting. So I wrote this life sketch, and I'm going to read it because I think it's a lot more interesting. Amanda was born the 25th of September 1869 in Alexander County, Illinois, to James Cook LeMay and Margaret J. Wright. Her parents were most likely living in Cairo, Alexander, Illinois at the time of her birth, but the 1880 census placed her family at Goose Island, Alexander, Illinois. Goose Island was likely a census location designation or precinct. Cairo had a population of about 6,000 people in 1870. Her father was a farmer. She was the youngest of 6 children. At the age of 18, Amanda married William Isaac Newton on the 25th of September 1887 in Alexander County, Illinois. She married on her birthday. Amanda and William had 7 children, 6 boys and 1 girl. Amanda and William lived in Alexander County until about 1904. It is hard to know for sure, but the family most likely moved because the economy of Cairo began to decline quite drastically after 1905, when the ferry and railroad industries began to decline. There was also a lot of racial tension and violence in the area. The family relocated to Hickman, Fulton County, Kentucky, where the 2 youngest children were born. Hickman experienced historic flooding in 1912 and 1913, and the water was said to have risen to the roof lines of the homes. These floods occurred 2 years after the youngest child, Jessie, was born. It is not known what the family experienced during this time, but the family stayed in Hickman. William worked as an engineer at the box factory in Hickman in the 1920 census. By 1940, Amanda was 69 years old, and she and her husband were empty nesters. Amanda died the 17th of February, 1954, 4 years before her husband. So I think that story is a lot more interesting. It includes some historical events. It connects dates and events like being born on the 25th of September and also marrying on the 25th of September. And I think it's the kind of story that will cause you to look a little bit more into her life. So I found some information about Cairo, Illinois, and Hickman, Kentucky, you're just using Wikipedia. So I didn't do a lot of extensive historical background research to write this life sketch. I just pulled enough facts to make it interesting. And, you know, the story about the flooding and the economic pressures, you know, really provides some insight into her life. You can also write a life sketch when not much is known, and this is especially useful when you're beginning a new research project on a person. And so for Darthula Ross, as I've mentioned in previous videos, we only have one known historical record, and that's her marriage record to William Jasper Eaton. And yet I could still write a life sketch. And I included some details about some historical events that were happening, where the family lived, you know, what may have happened. So there was a little bit of commentary that I included here, but I think that's okay because I'm also, you know, using this life sketch in my research with a hypothesis about what may have happened to her. Some final tips. Avoid writing in the first person, you know, avoid statements like, I found a marriage record for. Try to write in the third person with a neutral voice. And you can paste your life sketch in Family Search still. Their new person page, they're moving the life sketch to the bottom of the page. And so the one that I wrote that's a little more interesting is still included here for people. Unfortunately, now it's at the bottom of the page, which makes it harder for people to see. But despite that, I still think it's worth the effort to do so. Some additional tips on a life sketch, you know, it should be just a fact-based overview of an ancestor's life and, you know, present the facts in a chronological order. If you would like more information and to read the tips that I have on how to write a life sketch, I have it here in my blog article, which will be linked in the description box below. Thanks for watching.